Hi there. In this video, we'll be covering what makes a successful CEO. Doing one specific thing can help you achieve success, and it's probably not what you think. By the end of this video, you will learn the importance of vision, why listening matters, and how sharing your message can help you stand out. And stay tuned until the end of the video for a free opportunity. Let's dive in. As a CEO, you're the bigger picture person. You're the person in the company who's thinking big, who's focusing on the path forward, who's focusing on empowerment, success. You're thinking about all of these different things. So many people in the company have to think about their specific role and how it helps contribute to these goals. You're the one who's focused on the bigger picture. And vision is such a crucial element of being a successful CEO. You need to be able to look years ahead and really figure out, what does this look like? What does the path forward look like? You need to understand, recognize patterns and struggles and ups and downs. What do the financial markets yield? What are the opportunities? What are the challenges? There's so many challenges that all of our businesses face, and we need to really recognize those challenges, lean into them, find a way past them, and find a way forward with success and empowerment. I remember when I was first in the newspaper industry, this is in the 2008, 2009, 2010 on forward, and it was the moment when things started to turn. And it was really interesting listening to the executives talk about it. And classified ads was a big thing. For years, newspapers were funded primarily by classified ads. There were obviously other things too, but classified ads were a big source of revenue. And over time, when Craigslist started becoming popular, less and less people used classified advertising. And that was the margin, that was the differential. And that's where newspapers really started to struggle. And there were other factors too, but that was a big one. And I remember sitting in this meeting at my newspaper, and we were talking about quarterly goals. And we were talking about how classified advertising was down 10% year to year, quarter to quarter, whatever the case may be. And one of the executives talked about how we're going to turn the page, we're going to get this money back. And I was sitting there thinking, like, how? How is that going to happen? Like, that's not possible. It's not coming back. I think a lot of times as CEOs, business leaders, we need to think about the realities, not this is what it used to be, or this is what I want it to be, but what is it? What are the actual projections? A lot of times we deal with projections, we deal with ideas, we deal with numbers on a piece of paper, but those don't mean anything if they're not grounded in reality. But as CEOs, we need to have vision to carry forward and drive the company forward in a way that's going to build success for years to come. This isn't just about, a quick run of success. It's about building something that lasts. CEOs need to have conviction. We need to be able to believe. Believing is so important. And this isn't about believing in something fictional or believing in something aspirational. This is about moving forward with conviction, about understanding the metrics, understanding the playbook and the plays, and making the call. You really need to make a decision, because if you don't make decisions, how is the company going to proceed? You may have success currently, but it's going to be tough to continue forward if you don't have conviction to make decisions, to make tough decisions. Being CEO is all about tough decisions. Potentially letting people go if it's not working out, making the right hires, hiring the right people then who can hire other people. It's about figuring out the message of the company, the direction of the company, the path of the company. But you need to be able to gather all of this information and make the right decision. And you need to make decisions with conviction. It's not about always making the right decision. Sometimes you're going to make the wrong decision. But when you make the wrong decision, you need to be able to understand, to review the material, to consider it, and then moving forward in a new direction of changing path. It's about getting everybody else to buy into this bigger picture, and moving forward in confidence on your perspective is going to help other people buy into it, because ultimately that direction, that path forward is all about something that you set, and that's everybody else has to buy into. If no one else buys into it, then where are you? So you need to be able to get people to buy in, to get people to believe. So you need to be able to get the message across, and you need to be clear about it. You need to be able to be clear about the message you're sending, and just lead with conviction. A key aspect of being a great CEO is listening. Understanding how to listen to your subordinates, to have an open door policy, and to be able to gather information in order to help you make the best decisions. I think so often when people get into these high positions of power, they stop listening because they think they know better. But ultimately, it's great to be able to challenge your beliefs, challenge your perspectives, and to have a culture that empowers everybody to be honest, painfully honest. That's not about being mean, it's about being real. It's about being truthful. If something's not working, you want the people underneath you in the company to be open about it, to tell you. Because if not, then they're just keeping these secrets, and now you don't know. It's really tough to lead with authority when the people around you aren't telling you the truth. So you need to have this open door policy. They need to understand that you are somebody who's going to listen. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to act. You know, listening and acting are two different things, but it's the gathering. It's being able to tell you something in confidence and being able to tell you something that may be something you don't want to hear. You know, a lot of times as CEO, you're going to hear things that aren't favorable. You want the people around you to be as blunt as possible because it's a lot easier to have that conversation than it is down the road to create this giant, massive problem that never gets addressed, and now it's unfixable. Now it's untenable. You know, maybe it becomes a lawsuit. Maybe it becomes something bigger. You want to nip issues in the bud whenever you can, and allowing that listening, allowing that culture of openness without judgment is such a crucial step. The most successful companies I've worked for have understood their message, understood their marching orders, and every single person in the company was oriented toward that success and toward that vision forward. You know, and that messaging really starts with the CEO. You know, it's so important as a CEO to be able to understand and to tap into your company's message. When you meet with people, when you go to business functions, when you go to speak, what is the message that you're sharing? If you don't understand what your company does in a sentence, that's a problem. You need to be able to succinctly explain what it is that you do, the thing that you help people to accomplish, the why behind your company. Why does your company matter? Why does your company exist? All of these things come into play. I remember a business function, a local business executive function that I went to a couple months ago, and every single person in the room had to introduce themselves for a couple minutes and talk about what they do and talk about their ideal client and all these sorts of things. And I was really stressed out about it because I don't really have to talk too much about that. It's not something that typically comes to mind. But it was really a great exercise for me to be open about it and to say it in a couple sentences and to get it out to other people. And the more you talk about it, the more you believe in it. You know, you really, it's great to be able to share it and to get it out there. But you need to be able to explore that message in a sentence. And that's going back to this business function. It was great because we went around the whole room and every single person had one sentence. This is what I do and how it helps people. This is what I do and how it helps people. What does your company do and how does it help people? If you can't explain that in a sentence, that's a problem. You really need to be able to clarify and refine your message as a company and as a leader, because it's going to help you get people to buy in, and it's going to help the people that work with you to believe in your company, to want to believe in it, to think of the deeper value and the deeper purpose. You know, one of my friends, Jonathan, he wrote a book about purpose and leadership, and it was such an empowering project to work with him on. I only did a little bit. I helped him for a month or two, but it was just an awesome thing. And I could feel the energy, just even in our Zoom calls and our conversations and the emails. He was so positive. But seeing the purpose behind the book and seeing how purpose drives a company forward, if you can't capture that element of purpose and share it with other people, people are going to struggle to believe in it, whether that's stakeholders internally or externally. You need to be able to buy into the purpose. And this isn't just about drinking the Kool-Aid. This is really about believing in it deep down in your bones. Like, this is something deep, and you need to be able to carry that forward. Like, what is your purpose as a company? Because it's so easy today to find other reasons to shop elsewhere, whether that's online, whether that's finding somebody else. You can go on Google right now and find lots of other companies that do exactly what your company does. So what does your company do that's unique or special, that stands out? How is it different from every other company? How is it unique? Like, what is the benefit? How is it helping people? What's the importance of it? If you can't answer that, it's going to be really tough to get people to buy in. So you really need to hone in on that message, but then believe in it and project it outward. Messaging and tapping into that deeper purpose is so crucial as a CEO. And one of the best ways to present that out into the world is with a book. So many CEOs and thought leaders put out books because they want to capture their essence or their company's essence, and they want to put that message out there. And it's such a powerful thing. It's such a powerful statement. Oftentimes when you go into a room to network, for example, and you give out a business card, what's the likelihood that anybody's going to do anything with it? They might put it in their pocket. They might, take it out of their pocket at the end of the day. Oh yeah, I met this person. Okay, great. But then what? Like, what actually comes from that? It's just it's a business card that they put on their stack of other business cards. And that's it. If you can hand somebody a book that you wrote, it shows something, it captures something. It means that you were able to get this thing done. You were able to do this awfully tough thing, that you believed in your message and your purpose so much that you put it in writing for a couple hundred pages and explained it all. Like, you gave away the story and you are sharing this with the world. It's that next step. It's one thing to gather and cultivate success, and it's one thing to build a successful company. But one of the things about building a successful company and then growing a successful company is projecting it outward, is sharing the message of your success. Because if you don't share the message of your company's success, no one's going to know your company's successful. They just, this company's there. This is their business. You need to be able to show that your company's successful and project that success out into the world. And a book is a great way to do that. A book is a great way to set yourself apart, to really establish what your message is as a CEO, what you stand for, what you believe in. And by being able to do that, you take yourself to that next level. You are a next level leader when you're putting out a book. It's not enough just to put out any book. It's not enough just to churn out a book with ChatGPT, slap a cover on it and put it up on Amazon. This is really about putting out something transformative, something that's going to have an impact, something that's going to drive leads and opportunities to your company. This is a lead magnet tool as much as it is anything else, but you need to be able to write a good book to be able to get those results. I work with a lot of CEOs, and some of them really did the work. They really did the work. They really worked hard to try to uncover their message, to say something deeper, something profound, something that's going to resonate. And then I think of some of the other projects I worked on that the author simply just wanted to churn something out. They wanted to cut corners. They wanted to speed ahead, jump ahead, just publish a book to say they published a book and to just move on from there. And the book had no impact and it had no reviews on Amazon. Maybe it has 3 or 4 reviews. Like, it didn't mean anything. It's like when a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound if no one hears it? Like, it's one of those things. Like, you want this thing to have an impact. You want it to be great. You want it to drive your company to new heights and to take yourself as the CEO and thought leader to new places. And you can't do that unless you write a good book, a book that resonates, a book that matters. I've personally worked with dozens of CEOs on helping them write their books. And I'd love to help you too. If you're a CEO who's interested in taking your message to the new level, if you're interested in sharing your message with the world, go to goodghostwriter.com. You can click the link below, and there you can schedule a free one-on-one strategy call with me. I'd love to connect with you. I'd love to hear your stories. I'd love to see how I can help you guide you forward on this path, to help you write the best book possible and to help you achieve your goals. Remember, good ghostwriting makes great books. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.